presenting here today, whether you're the applicant, the owner, someone else connected with the project, or someone else from a neighboring property or the community. So let's go ahead and start with Christopher Hammond. If you could unmute for me, Mr. Hammond. Try and prompt you here. It's usually in the bottom left of the Zoom application. It's a little microphone.
Yes.
Got it. Yeah. Sorry, David.
In the
Yeah.
bottom.
So I'm Chris Hammond. I'm with Hammond Engineering, and I'm the geotechnical engineer and the wall designer for the project.
Okay, great. Welcome.
Thanks.
Then we have two gentlemen there with Amit Kumar.
Hey, David, this is Amit, and with me is Dalton Morsby. We both are co-owner of the property.
Okay, great. Welcome to both of you. We have Trey Sheldon here from the City Planning Department. Welcome, Trey.
Thank you.
And also James Smith. James, we can't hear you. If you could unmute for us.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can, yes.
Okay.
So your name's James Smith, and are you connected to the project in any way?
No, I'm a neighbor. I'm a next door neighbor. I have done
Okay.
some other things with Darlton, but not this project.
Okay, got it. Welcome. All right.
Thank you.
I need to read through our hearing script. This is just going to cover the procedure for the hearing, and then we'll begin. So this is the November 5th, 2025 session of the Zoning Hearing Examiner docket. Again, my name is David Sturkey. I'm the Zoning Hearing Examiner for the city. I'll be presiding over the hearing today. The case before us is case number ZH20250108. The address is 4348 Eastern Avenue. The purpose of this hearing is to allow applicants and any other parties to testify and to offer and refute evidence and testimony. This hearing will follow the rules found in the zoning code and the supplemental rules of the zoning hearing examiner. All testimony and evidence that an applicant or any other party wishes to offer must be presented at this hearing unless there was some written correspondence or email submitted prior to this hearing. The hearing will proceed as follows. The applicant, the applicant's attorney, or the applicant's agent will first present the applicant's case. For our purposes here today, I'll allow Mr. Hammond, Mr. Kumar, and Mr. Morsby. That will be your opportunity to tell me about the project, what exactly it is that you're proposing to do, the relief that you're requesting today in order to complete that project, and then, of course, why you believe that relief is appropriate and should be approved. After you've had that opportunity, I'll move to the public. I believe Mr. Smith will fall into that category. Mr. Smith, if there's anything you'd like to add or questions or comments, I'll give you an opportunity to do that at that time. I'll then move to Trey Sheldon and allow him to provide me testimony in addition to the staff report that he's prepared on this application. In the event that any party testifies or offers argument in opposition to this application, the applicant will have an opportunity to respond to those arguments in opposition, and then finally the applicant will have an opportunity to make any closing statements. After all presentations have been made, I will close the hearing. Decisions may be expected within 2 weeks. I may limit or exclude any testimony that I deem irrelevant or outside the scope of the application being considered. I may interrupt any speaker to ask questions or to make any comments. In the event of any technical difficulties with Zoom technology, I'll do my best to troubleshoot those issues as we go, but to the extent there's some defect that prevents us from meaningfully going forward with this hearing, I may continue or postpone the hearing at my discretion. Okay. The last thing I need to do is just swear in all of our witnesses. So if you intend on providing any testimony here today, any commentary, any questions, really anything other than just strictly observing, then the zoning code requires that I swear you in prior to that testimony. So if I could have everyone that intends on testifying raise their right hand, I'll need you all to answer out loud. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks, everyone. All right, who's going to be taking the lead here on the applicant's presentation?
Maybe Krish.
Yeah, I don't mind doing that.
Okay, floor is yours.
Yeah. So the owners of the property, the applicant, came to me and asked what it would take to construct a driveway for some off-street parking for their house that they're rehabbing. The House is at 4348 Eastern Avenue, and it's a consolidated lot for tax purposes, but it was not consolidated and recorded. So they did go through the process or the paperwork, I believe, or they were going to. I believe they've done that to have an affidavit stating that the consolidation will not be broken, where the driveway will no longer, where the driveway wouldn't be connected to the property. So you can't have a driveway and parking that's not associated with a residence. So the building department had asked, or the building department had asked for some type of qualification that the parcels will remain together. I'm not familiar with how all that works, but that was handled independently of the engineering.
Okay.
So
can I just clarify a few things with that real quickly? So you're talking about the parcel that's immediately, is that northeast of the subject parcel?
That's correct.
And the
It
plan
shares
is
an
to-
address.
Okay, the plan is to consolidate those parcels.
It's not. They are consolidated for tax purposes. And Trey, you might help with this. They're consolidated for tax purposes, but my understanding is they're not formally consolidated. But the process doesn't require a formal consolidation. It just requires a legal affidavit, I believe, that I'm
A covenant's the option. So I've got that to forward to David to review to make sure it's compliant.
Okay, so the plan is to execute a covenant or some sort of legal document that allows for the crossing of the parcel lines there, correct?
Correct.
Okay, all right. Sorry, Mr. Hammett.
Okay, yeah,
please
great.
proceed.
Okay, so from there, the conditions on the lot are that there's an existing 3 to 4 foot tall stone retaining wall on the lot, separating the sidewalk from grade. And then the grade slopes up at approximately a 17 to 20 degree or 20% slope. And that continues well beyond the back of the house. And then it steepens a little bit as it rises up to Columbia Parkway. So in order to breach that wall, basically, to go cut through the wall, you have to initiate retaining walls along the sides of of what will become the driveway. And you're basically, you're chasing the same grade up that you're trying to build your driveway. So, you're really, in order to make a reasonably navigable driveway, you're having to increase wall heights so that you can, so that you can cut into the slope enough without making the driveway too steep. So we tried to marriage those two, limiting wall heights and also kind of maximizing the driveway slope. So what we came up with as our best solution results in 6 foot maximum retaining walls at the upper end of the driveway, which I guess would be the west end or northwest side. And then those walls, as they turn the corner, they begin to step down a little bit and they get to be 3 feet at the street. And we're limited to 3 feet at the street due to visibility issues, zoning visibility matters. And Trey worked with us to get through those matters so that we're no more than 3 feet at the street and for 15 feet from the beginning of the driveway. So going 15 feet back from the sidewalk, our wall heights are no more than 3 feet.
Okay.
So we're asking for relief on 2 fronts. One is the cumulative excavation and fill height. As I noted, none of the walls or none of our cuts will exceed 6 feet in individual height. But if you add the 6 feet at the northwest side to the 3 feet at the sidewalk side, and also add the difference in those elevations to begin with, that's how the zoning department, makes that measurement. So I think that measurement came up with a cumulative cut of 14 feet. So, we don't have an individual cut greater than 6 feet, but the cumulative cut is 14 feet because we have 6 feet at one end and 3 feet at the other. And
Right.
you have to add the difference. So, so we've done what we can to work within the 8 feet, or to work within minimizing the maximum cuts. But there's just simply no way to not require this type of relief if we're going to build a driveway on the property. So
Okay.
I guess you could, if you came up crazy steep at the sidewalk and then avoided cuts past 15 feet from the frontage, you could probably get away from that, but you'd have an unnavigable driveway coming off the sidewalk.
Gotcha.
So, so then the other relief we're seeking is there's a 15% maximum driveway slope allowed in the city. And while we could stay within that, we're proposing a much better project if we're allowed to go with 20%. It allows us to keep the wall heights a little bit smaller, and it allows for the owner to have a relative or a flatter area to park their cars, to get in and out of the cars. So what we're proposing is a gentle curve for the first 15 feet from the sidewalk, and then another gentle vertical curve at the west end of the driveway. And in the middle, we'll have a 20% grade, 20% slope as opposed to the 15% slope. So the 15 won't spill out onto the sidewalk. The 20% won't be spilling out right onto the sidewalk, and it won't be at the very top. There'll just be a portion in the middle that'll be at that 20% in order to allow for a more gentle grade at either end and maintain the wall heights under 6 feet.
Okay.
I believe that's all I have.
Okay. I don't have any questions right now. To the owners, did you want to add anything to Mr. Hammett's statement?
And I'm Dalton. I just want to notice that behind from the beginning of where the house, the ending of the house at the back of the house, there's a 7-foot retaining wall right there, and then another 5 feet backwards there's another retaining wall, and about coming off from Columbia Parkway, there is an additional retaining wall in that area. So there's literally 3 more retaining wall on the back side of the house going up that hill that I think also help with any type of, the soil being disturbed, or that will cause any effect with the driveway.
Yep. Okay. Anything else before we move to public comment?
No, that's all I think. And the key is, right, we don't want to park the car on the road, right? So that's why we are thinking to put this on a driveway, right? So that things will be safer and not taking much space on the road, right?
Yes, and sorry, I forgot about this. There's a bus stop that occupies left and right, east and west of the house. And so literally you cannot, that entire east side of the property, along with the 2 other lots that belong to someone else, the bus stop extend all the way down there. So if the person, we at the house, you'd have to park so far away to walk to get back to where the house is, and the same thing right from the west side of the house. The neighbor who is on that side typically park right. They have 2 cars, so they normally park right there. So it's such a long walk away, if you have to get to the house, and there's no other way, so we think having the driveway off, and that I think also will benefit, hopefully, other neighbors, seeing that if there's a possibility to have a driveway it help eliminate having excess cars on the street. They're more inclined maybe wanted to have a driveway put on their property as well.
All right, yeah, I see that. I see the conditions you're describing there on the street with the bus stop, and it's like a fire hydrant as well. Okay, yeah, okay, great. Well, I think I'll turn it over to public comment, give Mr. Smith an opportunity if he wants to weigh in at all. Mr. Smith?
Sure. Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
So I am not directly involved with this project, but I have been involved with other projects with Mr. Mosby. And, I've been in the business 50 years, so I've seen a lot of guys who don't want to pull a permit, or, they try and do stuff themselves that they really oughtn't to be doing, like electrical and plumbing, things that require licensing. And I never, ever see Darlton do that. He strictly hires licensed professionals for everything. He just does like drywall and painting and a few things like that, some carpentry. And everything I see him do is first rate. I mean, he could go cheap. A lot of guys, that's all they think about is the money. And he just does a good job, which is part of the reason I like working for him. And then as far as the effect on the neighborhood, there are a lot of us that are really trying to, bring the level of the neighborhood up. I'm one of them. I bought the plot next door, and then brought in a compact track loader and got rid of all the honeysuckle and all the garbage and turned the whole thing into a yard with trees and so forth. And I'm always doing work on my property. I just installed a whole alarm system. And there's a gal across the way, Vanessa. If you look, you'll see she has a whole string of houses, and she keeps hers in very fine condition. And we've got the Jasper project coming up. I'm sure you're aware of that. So we just had the utilities come through here and put in fiber optic and brand new electrical access. So this is just in line with what's going on with the neighborhood. People are trying to bring the houses, up to code and make them aesthetically pleasing. We've got some developers coming in and doing major projects, and it makes perfect sense. We're 15 minutes from downtown. We're right next to Lunken Airport. It's a good location, and so I think this general trend is good for everybody. And I'd like to see this project go through because the front of the property, that property before Mr. Mosby took it over, that property had been in disrepair and neglected for a long time. And now I just see this, I feel like he's partnering with the neighborhood and helping all of us to, sort of pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. And, my property value's gone up. I think everyone's has. So that's my perspective. I probably said more than I need to, but that's how I'm looking at things.
Okay, great. Thanks, Mr. Smith. I appreciate your input, and I think it is a valuable contribution. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's turn it over to Mr. Sheldon. Mr. Sheldon, anything you want to add here?
I'm just going to kind of read off the findings at the end of my report. It was pretty simple. I found that the project's been designed to minimize excavation and retaining wall height for the proposed driveway. The project, at least with the retaining walls, is designed with incremental stepping at both the bottom and the top of the walls, so it steps up both sides of the driveway. As Mr. Hammett noted, the single greatest cut is at the very back, up toward the house. The wall that goes parallel with the street and parallel with Columbia Parkway at the very back, and I think that was about 6 feet in height. He did revise the drawings. Mr. Hammett did in compliance with zoning for visibility for the site triangle down at the street. And so those walls had to be reduced so that they didn't block the view, and for safety purposes of the sidewalk, which is by far one of the most common sense provisions in the zoning code. Just don't block visibility and cause a public hazard. So he did that, and I think that kind of went in tandem with, lowering those, and also the really the third element that I have in my findings is that um, uh, Chris wrote a letter, and wrote the summary of reasons why relief should be granted, and he explained the unique conditions pertaining to this specific piece of property that have driven the design to minimize those, and also create a driveway slope that allows for flatter areas, both at the rear of the drive, essentially where they'd be parking, the parking pad, allow them a flat parking surface there, and also for safer egress from and onto the public right of way. So if you think about it, if you were looking at a profile of this, you essentially have a flatter area at the bottom after you come in from the curb cut to allow both, especially going out, if it was at all slippery or raining or icy at all, it would allow a place to, to stop, be able to come to a stop, not come straight out on a pitch out into the street. And then up above, where the 20% slope is at the top, that has also been flattened for just simply common sense there too. The practicality of getting in and out of the car or unloading things in and out of the car, that you're not on some 15% slope. So those have been made flatter, and the portion of the driveway in the middle is about 5% steeper than would normally be allowed in the zoning code. But I think it makes complete common sense from a functionality standpoint and a practical standpoint to allow those flat areas for safety down below, and for the residents of the dwelling to have a flat area up above for them to get it out of the car. So it seemed very common sense to me, and the retaining walls essentially follow that same profile step by step up the slope.
Okay, great. Thanks, Trey. Appreciate your work on the staff report and your testimony here today. I'm going to turn it back over to the applicants here and the owner. Anything you want to say in response to Trey's comments or Mr. Smith's comments, or anything else in closing or otherwise before we adjourn here today?
Like he said, the required percentage of incline that excess a little bit over 15% in right there in the middle does make sense, having the flat a little bit flatter coming off the street, and then you do go up a little bit in the middle, and then it flattens out a little bit more at the top, I think, which, like you said, if there was rain or snow, it makes it a lot easier coming in and out of the driveway. And I really think that having this off-street parking will help the neighborhood, will help the city getting a little bit more cars off the street, and going forward, maybe other neighbors having the chance to also get driveway put in, not having all the cars parked on the street.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I think we can leave it at that. I've had a chance to review the application materials on this and the staff report. And based on all of that, and on the testimony that I've heard here today, I agree that it would be impractical to strictly enforce the zoning code to this application. So I am going to approve the application. We spoke about it at the beginning, I will add a condition. It sounds like maybe you're already doing this, but I am gonna, just to be sure, I'm gonna add a condition that covenant is executed prior to the permits being released, which can be a quick process once you have that document drawn up.
David, I actually have that. I actually have that at this point, and I'll just submit it as I'll submit it as an RLS.
Yep. Okay, great. Yeah. That's fantastic. So yeah, I'll put it as a condition, but it sounds like, again, if it's already done, or in our hands, that should expedite everything. It shouldn't hold anything up in terms of the approval. I have to formalize the decision, though, in a written decision, where I'll put that condition in, and the rest of the analysis of the decision. I'll put that document into a PDF, and I'll email it to you as soon as I'm finished. You'll have it really moments after it's complete. I'll email it to everybody in the hearing here today, so you all will have a copy. As soon as Trey sees that and the covenant is executed and recorded, he'll be able to sign off on the zoning permitting, and you all can take the next steps. Any questions about any of that? Okay, Great. Well, if you do have any questions in the meantime, or you want a status update on the decision, I'll try and get that to you as quickly as I can. But if you have any questions or want a status update on the decision, feel free to reach out to me directly. Otherwise, good luck with the project. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Appreciate your testimony. And we're